Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's a WNR311, and it's NXT Takeover 31. And it's a pleasure to say that I'm joined by the mind of Monty. How you doing, mate? You all right?
All right, how you doing? It's your boy Muncie G from the Mind of Muncie podcast. I'm happy to be here. Happy to join you here today. Well,
It's
tonight for you guys.
well, without a shadow of a doubt, it's always great. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your podcast?
So right now, currently, I'm 24 years old. I'm a grad student at Arkansas State University in America, and in Arkansas. I'm a grad student, and I do radio and television. My podcast is strictly wrestling based, just commentary, comments on the show. Right now, we're doing strictly reviews, but I have a couple of ideas to switch it up and add new things, like going to YouTube and doing different types of things. But it's just right now, it's just a grad student who has extra time, who needs to vent about the stuff that he likes to watch. And, I love wrestling. Been watching it since I was a little kid, so I think I have an extensive knowledge, not to toot my own horn, but I've watched a lot of it, a lot of wrestling over the years. And I just enjoy it. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much what it's about. It's just me and my fiance who hosts it with me, and she kind of intros and does the gives her commentary when she sees fit. And but yeah, we just have fun and talk wrestling.
Well, that's brilliant, and it's great to have someone on and try and help them because, we've been doing the podcast for over 5 years now, and ever since the co-host left a few months back, I've been wanting to get other podcasts who are just either starting out or just trying to find an audience and give them a little bit of help. So, like you said, with wrestling, everybody's got a different opinion, and if I
Yes.
can, from England, speak to someone from America, either have the same opinion or different, it's great to share it and actually give someone an opportunity as well.
Oh yes, I agree, 100%. I agree, and I appreciate this opportunity. This is my first collab in this at all, so I'm just excited to be doing this, man. So thank you for this.
No problem. So let's get started then. And it is, like we said, NXT Takeover 31. And we had a great intro to start us off. Well, the kickoff was Scott Stanford and Pete Roseberg just in the studio. Nothing really happened. The opening video, we had this, we're talking about the capital city wrestling. We're talking about what happened in the past. And there was something on the screen that says, you're looking at some of the most remarkable athletes in the world today. Professional wrestlers are a rare breed of athlete, possessing gargantuan proportions, enormous strengths, unique coordination and agility, a high threshold of physical tolerance, polarizing power, and the ability to withstand the rigors of one of the most taxing sports known to man, and that is professional wrestling. Vincent K. McMahon from 1977. So we had that, and then we had the start. What were your thoughts on the Capital Wrestling Center, as it is known now, the intro, and how the place looked? Because I thought it looked really, really nice.
Oh yes, I was very impressed with the set and the intro. It gave the takeover a feel. I really enjoyed that. Like it felt like a big night from the jump with that intro. But also, I'd like to point out that he's Triple H has done a great job, in my opinion, to differentiate NXT. So even with the video boards now, it still feels completely different than the main roster. So I really like the set. Really
Yeah,
liked it.
without a doubt. But I think one of the problems is this takeover's kind of sprung up. I'm not saying that
Yes.
it just feels a little bit rushed. There's not a lot of storylines. It's very rarely at a takeover or even an NXT, where the title match is decided through like a battle royal or in that kind of way. There's usually a story behind it. It did feel a little bit rushed, even though takeovers always deliver.
I agree 100%. Like the quality of the matches kind of made up for that, in my opinion. But I do agree that their takeovers were much rarer. They're starting to become what and happen way more often. So I agree. They used to be rare and they used to be even more special. But yes, I definitely got a rushed feel to this entire build. But I think the wrestlers performed well enough, in my opinion, to kind of help you ignore that.
Yeah, I think without that, the only problem is the logo looked terrible because usually back in the day, you had to take over, Brooklyn's and new events like this, and now just take over 31 with just a 31 stuck in the middle of an NXT logo. And you're going, come on, you couldn't have come up with an idea we had in your house at the start of the year. We could have done something a little bit better.
That's fair, and I think that makes your point about being rushed even more. I mean, like they obviously didn't have a plan. They usually, like you said, have a theme. You see that in the next show will be Halloween Havoc. They had a plan for that one, but as you like this one, like I agree, it seems very last minute, and the set was probably like you said, just lazy, just trying to get one out there for some reason, and but yeah, I agree 100%. It was surprising to see because they're usually hit like on their takeover logo. Like their branding is usually pretty good for takeovers.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. So we started the action off with the North American Championship, of course, Johnny Gargano versus Damian Priest. And how do we get it? Well, Johnny wants himself and Candice to be double champs in NXT history. Of course, Damian Priest won a ladder match. Before we get on to the match, should Johnny Gargano have been called up already to the main roster?
Oh, of course. I mean, I think this is a lot of personal preference here. I think he prefers NXT, and I think that's probably the only thing. Or maybe Vince McMahon, maybe he is a smaller guy, and I don't think that's a problem. But we know Vince has his little quirks, and maybe he doesn't have a long term plan for Gargano. But I think he's made for NXT, and he loves it down there. So it's not that big of a deal, but he definitely deserves to be called up.
I think he's done everything there is to do in NXT, and I think at this moment in time, as we're going to see with the match as well, it's about him creating stars rather than being a star at this moment in time.
Exactly.
That's saying that though with Damian Priest, there is something about him that I like. I'm not quite sure what that is yet, but I see him, I go, I don't mind him, but I do see similarities. Of course, there was a young man who kind of had that gimmick a few years ago in NXT, Baron Corbin, and look
Oh
what they
yeah.
did to him. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but should Damian Priest be worried that this is probably going to be the best he gets treated on NXT before he moves up to the main roster?
I think everybody honestly should be worried in NXT. Honestly, with if you want like as far as your future goes and as far as the main roster goes, like yeah, everybody should be worried that this could be the best. I mean, look at as much as I don't mind who's Keith Lee been wrestling since he's been called up. The truth of the matter is, they don't have a plan so far, at least as far as stories go, ever since his debut. And he went from NXT champion to squashing people every now and then now on Raw. I think so. I mean, maybe he'll have something in the future. I give him time, but everyone should be worried as far as call-ups go at this point with NXT.
Well, the scary thing I heard the other day about the Keith Lee thing as well was the fact is they called him up because they thought it'd be a cool fit to the roster, but they have got no long-term plans for him. So the fact is that he's just going to be
Exactly.
there, and it's like why, especially with the talent in NXT, you can come up with not saying a year ahead, but 6 months, and say to yourself, right, this is where you're going to be. Rather than saying, oh, do you know what? It'd be cool to have you on the roster, and maybe why Johnny Gargano has said, hang on a minute, I don't want to be on the roster and be not really being used in a couple of months down the line. But talk about
Exactly.
Johnny Gargano, he is Johnny Takeover. He's had more takeovers than anybody. Is he the guy that just will deliver a show no matter what in NXT? Because I think it's hard to argue.
No, he's definitely on that short list, in my opinion, of guys that no matter what the situation is, no matter the story, whether he's heel, babyface, he's going to put on a very, very impressive match. And honestly, uh, I really thought it was gutsy of putting him first because, like, I thought it was a lot to live up to, because I know how good Johnny can be, and you give him all he needs is a good partner in the ring. And I've seen him turn people who may not be that good with everyone to make them look better because he's just that good. So, yeah, I believe he's definitely on that short list of guys that no matter what, he's going to be great.
Well, one of the things I liked about this matchup was because obviously Damien Priest has got the size advantage over Johnny, but because Johnny Gargano is such a star in NXT, it seemed like a fair fight. Sometimes you forget about the kind of physical attributes when Gargano's been around, done that, and Priest is kind of just starting out. And we see it in the match as well. Johnny evading early, both men trying to finishes. Priest found himself in the apron with Johnny trying to sunset flip him. Damien blocked only for Garner to succeed and sending him to the wafer thin mats. Priest recovered and launched himself into the corner, catching Garner with back elbow. A broken arrow followed for a two count as the commentary team put over the back and forth nature of this match. One thing about the broken arrow, and I don't know if it's just me with this. Now, it's an impactful move, and I like it. And it's a bit like the pounce, where it's the power move of moving the wrestler. But the whole point is to be as close as you can to get the pinfall afterwards. And I felt with the broken arrow, Priest should lift him up instead of out, and then at least you can come down into a pin. I know it's little things, but that's what I noticed with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hey, and I always say the little things matter. The little things are very important, and I agree. That's a nice little psychological thing that he could do to make it make a little bit more sense or look a little bit better there. But at the end of the day, I do think the point of a lot of Damian Priest moves is the impact. He is very explosive, and that's what he likes to show off in a lot of his offense. And when he has a guy like Gargano, who's not only a great seller, but like you said, that size advantage, and it just looks extra impactful, and it's just very great. It's
No,
good, great to watch, in my opinion.
I think, like I said, the first match was great to watch. We saw Priest setting up the Razor's Edge. Gargano countered into the Sunset Flip Bomb. The fight spilled to Arena 4. Priest pulled out the Razor's Edge onto the ring apron. It, I mean, that was a hell of a bump in itself.
Yeah.
I liked how the match was told as well. Your Priest had the power to respond to just in case he was getting in trouble. So Johnny had to come up with different things. We saw a slight botch, but really not that much. We saw Gargano counter an attempt for the reckoning when hitting a slice of bread number 2. Gargano mocked Priest and idiot a choke slam, only to turn it into a roll up. Priest finally executed the South of Heaven, but again could not put the opponent away. And as the champion launched himself on the top rope, Gargano alertly pulled 2 members of the NXT security team in the way, leaving them obliterated at ringside. This was well timed. Undertaker would land on his head if this security team was ready, as they were back at WrestleMania.
Oh man, still painful to think about. So painful to think about.
We get a low blow from Gargano and super kick made for a great false finish as Priest still managed to get out of it, dragging him back to the centre ring. The challenger applied his trademark submission, only for the champion to battle his way to the ropes. They teased a spot on the ring steps, but Priest rocked his opponent, followed with a draping version of the Reckoning for the pinfall victory. So what did you think of the match?
I thought it was a very, very great. It was just, I don't know if I don't really do the star rating things, but if I had one, it was definitely a very good, like for his role, which was to open and set the tone for the night. Oh, it set up in a very, very great tone, and I didn't know. I really, like I said, I didn't know who could follow it at first, like because it impacted me greatly. I really liked the back and forth nature of it. It was moments where I thought Gargano actually was going to take the belt, and I like the callbacks to the spot where Damian Priest kind of won me over. Honestly, was when he took that back bump on those stairs against Finn earlier this year, and they called back to it kind of, and I thought he was going to take that bump again, which would have been insane. But I'm glad he didn't do that again. But overall, man, the finish, the way it turned out, it was beautifully done, and I loved them. I liked it. I was surprised they had that good of chemistry because sometimes, that especially since Damian is newer in this position, sometimes when these are fresher matchups, the chemistry is not there. But it was great. They did very well, and I liked it.
Yeah, without doubt, I was going to say nice chemistry as well. And Priest, some wrestlers are, can be led quite well. And obviously with Gargano and Priest just followed kind of every mark he needed to kind of make him look like a star. This was about Johnny making Priest look fantastic. This was about him trying to get someone over and saying, look, this is the guy who's going to be leading, NXT for the next couple of years.
Right, right. I do have a question for you though. Do you like Damian Priest better in this new kind of? I don't know if he's not really outright baby faces, but he's obviously changed his style up a little bit, doing more top rope moves, and he teamed up with Io Shirai, so he's kind of aligned, I guess, as a baby face right now. He's definitely not hitting people with the nightstick he was doing a couple months ago. So, how do you like this character switch for him, or do you prefer him being, the evil, more like Baron Corbin clone that he seemed like earlier?
I don't mind the kind of, like you said, the tweener type of character if he even working well, can he kind of match up his opponent. But I think at the moment, NXT is quite heavy with heels when you look at, Timothy Thatcher, obviously the Undisputed Era again, another group who have kind of, we don't know if they're good guys or bad guys. But I think with
Exactly.
Priest it will work out. I think he'll fall back to that kind of heel character. And I think what I say to him as well is, yes, it's impressive jumping off the top, but sometimes you have to wrestle like a monster sometimes. And I think
Oh
Corbin
yeah.
doesn't do that sometimes. When it's your size, you have to said in the match, going back to your power because that's what works, and I think sometimes that'll help. But I think Priest, like I said, there is something about him. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but he's making me interested. I'm not saying like he's a fantastic worker but in this matchup with Gargano, he did exactly what he needed to do, which I thought made it into a great match.
Yes, I agree 100%. Like I said, he's definitely growing on me. I was a fan of, or I was drawn to his look, even though he wasn't as good as he is now in Ring of Honor. So to see the growth, and I can already just see how he's done well with this new style in NXT, because it is a different style than other kind of like a mixture of strong style and kind of the WWE style, but more so independent strong style.
But this is the thing: if he's feeling
I'm really excited for this
confident,
next match.
yeah, if he's feeling confident, it all works. First off, match out of 5 for the first match. I know you don't really do ratings. I'm going to give that a 4.25 out of 5 because of, like you said, it was a really great way to start the show.
Yeah, I agree. Like four stars is definitely 4 to 5, like you said, 4.5, perfect range for that match.
Prediction wise, we both went for Priest in that, so we started off with a point. Of course, you challenged us to predictions on Twitter. A lot of people are running scared at this moment in time, but poll wise as well, 60% went for Damian Priest. We always do polls for a pay-per-view and takeovers event, and then it said match 2 was Dream versus Kushida. You were excited about this. Why were you so excited about this match?
Well, personally, I am a big fan of Kushida. That's another thing. I definitely cover New Japan on my podcast as much as I can. So I was a fan of Kushida before he even signed here to NXT. But I'm really loving the new aggressive style. The attack, the arm style of Kushida, and he definitely put that on display in this match. And honestly, I'm to be honest with you, with the accusations and everything that's going on with Velveteen Dream, it's always great to watch him get beat up.
This is what I was going to say because, well, first of how we got here, Kushida debuted last year. It was my pick for the tag tournament with Alex Shelley, of course, former Time Splitters. I said nothing, but he snapped, and him and the Dream have been feuding. But what are the faults in the Dream situation? Should he be on NXT at this moment in time, or should he take time off? Does he need to change character? I mean, I honestly don't know. With me, it's just it feels uncomfortable watching him at this moment in time.
I agree 100%. It's definitely uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable also when you take into account what Triple H has had to say as far as like they've looked at it and they found nothing, but we've seen things and no one has explicitly said anything we've heard, and everything that you've heard like is nothing has been reassuring about the situation at all.
No.
So I definitely say that, and I agree. It's uncomfortable to watch. As far as his character goes, I do think that NXT is doing the best that they possibly can by making him this kind of annoying heelish, more like definitely a dirtier version of the Velveteen Dream. If I guess that makes sense if you see what I mean. But honestly, uh, I agree. It's just been tough. Like it's hard to look at him wrestle and not think of that. Think of the accusations right now, and that's the thing. So I don't know what NXT could do. Honestly, I know a lot of people want him gone, and I don't. I think that makes it tough on anything you involve him in. But this match, in my opinion, still shined even through that. So I will give them credit on that part.
Yeah, without doubt. I will say, and it's not the same just before anybody's listening and complains, but when Edge went through a stage when with Lita and the Matt Hardy thing happened, they turned him heel straight away, and the reaction they based it off that. When you've got Velveteen Dream who's still a face who is getting booed out the building,
Exactly.
and the commentators can't explain it, then there is your problem. So you either turn him heel, you give him some time off. Coming out dressed like Doc Brown is not going to fucking work. It's just not, because it looked weird.
It looked bad.
I'm
It
weirded
really
out
did.
anyway, and he's coming
I
out,
agree.
and you're going, he's lost it. He's
Yes, yes. That look, it didn't work. It didn't work. He usually have a nice theme for takeovers, and this one definitely didn't work. It didn't fit anything we've heard about him right now. It's just everything about it was just disgusting. To be honest, it was bad. And but I agree though. I think I will say one thing about Velveteen Dream as a performer. I knew once the match started it was gonna you kind of just he's that good in the ring, and that's another thing that makes it so like aggravating and like kind of just very disappointing too. Like not only are you disgusted, but he's young and he's very talented. Like he could have been much bigger, but now I don't know like how can he overcome this as far as his future goes.
well, someone I don't think has fallen so far from grace in NXT at that time. When you consider he was one of the favourites to beat Adam Cole for the NXT title, and where he is now. But like I said, to the match, Kushida obviously loved the Marty McFly, coming out. He got a huge pop from the fans when he came out like a house on fire after beating the Dream down at the start. Dream did manage to floor Kushida for a little while and then hit a Bronco Buster as boos just came through the Capital Wrestling Center. Dream applied the sleeper as Wade Barrett did remind us that despite all the hoopla that surrounds him, there is an astute wrestler beneath. Kushida did look really, really good, even though he could have been even though he was the heel, he was being chilled as loud as Stone Cold was in 1998 at this moment in time. Kushida recovered and pulled Dream shoulder first into the ring post as fans chanted one more time, which he did. Dream tried for the purple rainmaker, but Kushida caught him with an arm breaker. Dream makes it slapped to the ropes and then poked his opponent in the eye. Dream finally delivered a purple rainmaker, but the damage done to his arm did not allow him to capitalize. Kushida fought back, came off the top rope with Dream applying the hoverboard lock. Dream fought off, delivered the Dream Valley drive, but his opponent held on and forced the submission win. What were your thoughts on the match?
Oh man, it was very entertaining. I loved it. It was great to watch. This is what I've been wanting for Kushida since he, like you said, signed with NXT. I wanted him to get a chance to showcase what he could really do. And if there's one thing he was always great at in New Japan, no matter what the situation was, he was great at making the hoverboard lock look like just a very unfortunate situation to be in because of how relentless he can be and I just love seeing this side of him. The attack after the match had me very excited. As a matter of fact, Twitter at the time was also excited. I saw so many people saying "fuck him up," Kushida. Like everyone liked that. So it was very great. That's the one thing. Like I said, I will say it is tough. I don't know how Velveteen Dream could ever be babyface again because as long as he's on our TV screen, it's gonna be great looking at people root against him. I will say that.
Yeah, without a doubt. But like I said, Kushida is on the move up now. Dream's obviously on the way down. It's always good to have a dangerous submission. It's hard for Kushida to be booed, dressed like McFly, beating the crap out of the Dream. It was never going to happen. Maybe
Oh yeah.
Velveteen should go future. Sorry about the pun. And then the match out of 5, I'm going to give it a 3 3/4 out of 5. It was a really good match, but the crowd hated Dream. So when he's trying to sell the arm and trying to say how bad it is, it doesn't really work because it just looks terrible because the fans don't give a shit. So
Right.
I think that might have taken away. Like I say, I would have done the same thing with the fans, but if you had any other wrestler there selling that injury to that extent, you probably would have felt a little bit sorry for him.
I agree. I think like 3.5 stars in my opinion also. But like I said, if you look at it through the lens of wanting to see Velveteen get beat, might be 5 stars. But if you look
Yeah.
but if you look at it through like it's like you said, wanting to give Velveteen sympathy, it is almost impossible to have sympathy for him at the moment. So yeah, that's always going to take away from his matches if they're going to be like that.
Yeah, without a doubt. Prediction wise, we both went Kushida, so it's 2-all on the polls. 83% voted Kushida, which means 17% of you wanted Dream to win. Just saying. Halloween Havoc is back after 20 years, as we see Shotzi will be hosting it on the
Woo!
28th. of October. I love this. I've been wanting them to bring back WWE stuff. I know they've done it with the Great American Bash and obviously with Starrcade, but it's there ready to make money with. And I think Halloween Havoc is an event they could have had years ago, but Vince McMahon probably looks at it and goes, no. What do you think of NXT Halloween Havoc coming up? I think it's a really good idea.
I agree 100%. I think it's great. It's about time they start using these trademarks that they won't allow Cody to have. I'm happy that they are finally starting to realize that they can definitely print money with those brands. Those are great. I agree. Now, Halloween Havoc was one of a lot of people's favorites when WCW existed anyway. So that definitely could have continued, but maybe like you said, Vince wanted to create stuff of his own. And but I think NXT has done great, like you said, in your house. They've done war games in the past. They've always done these things justice. So I think this is going to also fall in line. I love Shotzi Blackheart being involved because she fits this perfect. This is just a perfect fit.
I couldn't agree with you more with that. We're gonna have to start disagreeing soon, I think. Match three.
I agree.
Match three was the Cruiserweight Championship. The Cruiserweight title on the line for the very first time ever. How we got it? Well, Santos Escobar won the Cruiserweight title once the virus started, and Jordan Devlin couldn't defend, and the same things happened with him. They quietly dropped it. He unmasked and created Legado del Fantasma with Joaquin Wild and Raul Mendoza. Swerve has beaten Santos twice, but for the title, Santos uses a loaded mask. Thoughts on this? Well, I've seen Swerve wrestle in a documentary called The Wrestlers, and it was really interesting when he was talking about what style he's got, because obviously he's a cruiserweight in NXT right now, but he wanted to go and do a lot of different styles, hardcore style, submission, technical, to try and be the best at it, around the world, and try and get different styles, different countries. And then he's come to NXT, and I think he's a guy who stands out for me a little bit because he's worked on his craft, and I think you can tell that in the ring. With Santos, he looks a bit like Tony Nese, but with personality. I think that would be the thing. For these two, look, I really enjoyed it because I do like the cruiserweights. I love the bit when he goes, "I'm going to spit in your face," and then Swerve just was like, "Right, I'm bringing the heat right now." Hit the flat line, hit the spike DDT in the corner. Wilder Mendoza interfered, allowing Escobar to put Scott down, but he can only score two. Scott recovered and delivered a big head scissors that sent Escobar off the top rope and into his teammates. That could have gone terribly wrong.
That was so close. So close.
I was like, oh.
I was worried, man. I was so worried. I was like, oh man, please don't hit your head. But man, he was very close. Very close.
And then Ashante Adonis made the save for Scott, fighting off Mendoza and Wild. Back in the ring, Scott rolled into a big super kick. The sound in this match was incredible. Yes, I had the speakers turned up, but with the audience, the live people, and what was on the Thunderdome, it was a cacophony of noise, basically. It really innovated offense as well, but he Swerve kicked out of a Phantom Driver, but Vic Joseph, you gave it away because in the count, and he's going, well, this is definitely over. And I'm like, no, why say that for, Vic? Right. But anyway, it's my own problem with it. He followed up with the Three Amigos. He went for the frog splash, but missed. Scott survived. Went for the arm. Hit a house call and a picture perfect 450, but Escobar still managed to get out of it. At that point, I thought, well, which way is this going to go now then? Because if they've done this bit, the fight then spilled to the apron where Escobar shoved Scott into what was supposed to be the exposed still from a turnbuckle, but he was nowhere near. They didn't bother trying to show it again. Fair enough, maybe they could have tried something a little bit different, but with time constraints, they just carried on. He delivered a double underhook facebuster for the successful title defense. What are your thoughts on the match?
The match impressed the hell out of me, man. I really I thought it would be pretty good because cruiserweight, especially cruiserweight title matches and the cruiserweight matches I've seen, anytime I ever got a chance to watch 205 Live, once they get a chance to just go in, they should, most of the roster at 205 Live can really go. But anyway, once they got started, like you said, I agree. I love Isaiah Swerve Scott. Everything I've seen about him, I like the character. I like the ring, like his ring work is just like you said. He mixes many styles. He surprises me with how athletic he can be, but at the same time, like just how physical he still is too. Like he's not just a complete finesse wrestler either. he can also mix in a lot nice kicks and nice strikes, and I like that. I love a mixture of strikes and high impact moves. But anyway, the match was absolutely great. I like it. I probably give it maybe like between probably 4 stars again. I really thought Isaiah had won this match. So the fact that it had me that invested by a match that I wasn't expecting. Maybe my expectations has given it more stars than maybe it deserved, but I really liked it. And the improvised finish, that last move was a nice way to finish the match, even though I'm pretty sure the plan that wasn't a part of the original plan.
Yeah, I think about that. I'm going to give that a 4 out of 5 because you put that cruiserweight title match on the takeover card. You expect it to start the show or deliver, and these guys did, and you saw it like with the cruiserweight division here, how much talent they've got, and if they can build it and actually make it a part of NXT, it will be a feather in the cap, and it won't take away from anything. It's very easy to kind of have these great matches if they keep building up the talent the way they do. Prediction wise, you did go for Swerve in this one. I went Santos. The only reason I went Santos because WWE never give you what you want. So.
Oh my goodness, what a great point. See, that's what I get for being ideological sometimes and trying to just hope. You hope that they throw you a bone sometimes. But I agree. Yeah, I probably should have known better.
Yeah, no, don't go wrong. With predictions, it goes back to when Oscar lost to Charlotte at WrestleMania. I'm still not over it. I will learn my
Oh man,
lesson.
that hurt. That hurt. I
Oh.
do. Oh, that hurt me so
Um,
bad.
Poll wise, Scott on the poll got 69%. So people were swaying in that way. But like I said, a fantastic match leading on to our next one for the NXT Women's title, the NXT title as they call it. Candice LeRae versus Io Shirai. How we got here? Well, seeking to do what husband could not. That was to leave Takeover 31 with the gold. We saw a pre-match video package reminding viewers that it was LeRae, whom Shirai betrayed nearly a year ago. Not to mention it was whom she cost the number one contenders ladder match a few months back, establishing a lengthy backstory for this encounter. I know the NXT Women's division is stacked, or even the WWE Women's division. But is Io Shirai, and I would put Candice Ray up there, but is Io Shirai the best women in wrestling at this moment in time?
Ah man, she's definitely probably in my top 3 or 5, maybe. I would go with Oscar personally. I may be just biased. I will admit my biases, and I just think she does everything so well. Doesn't matter who you put her in the ring with, but Io is not far behind that, and I just think she is cool as hell. That's one thing I'll say is that not too many. Maybe I've grown because I'm older and I'm just cynical now or whatever. Not too many people are just cool to me, and I think Io Shirai is just cool as hell. One of the best in the world, though. I agree.
I,
I think she looks good.
honestly, I completely agree. I've got it written here how cool she is, and you just can't buy it. When you've just got that kind of look and the confidence and the swagger, there's just something about it that you just can't get from anywhere else, and that's what EO has got. And we get a big fight feel for this one, a great exchange at the start because obviously both know each other so well. Candice grounded Shy, worked over her with a submission. We saw 619 and a missile drop kick. She caught LeRae mid-flight with boots in midsection and followed up with underhook backbreaker like Chris Jericho. Shai delivered double knees in the corner, palm thrust and a German suplex. LeRae answered with a snap German and a backstabber. Springboard moonsault resulted in 2. The crossface, but the challenger countered into the Gargano escape. Shai fought towards the rope after a brief delay, finally forced a break. And then elbow. This is what I really liked about it. I'm going to break it down now. So we had the Gargano escaping, and then we had the elbow coming off the submission, which hit the ref, and then we got the air raid crash. And I'm thinking, how the referee's going to get bumped a second time, but at this moment in time, I'm not sure how it's going to happen. And then Shai comes diving off the rope. Candice with the knees up, and Io just goes flying into the referee, and I was like, "That's brilliant." There you go. So yeah, that's it. I wasn't expecting that. Really enjoyed that little bit because it sometimes is a bit too obvious. We then see the raid delivering the wicked stepsister and Johnny Gargano coming out with referee shirt. Shai still managed to get up. At this point, I'm going, "Oh no, they're going to screw her out of the title." Gargano grabbed the women's title whilst distracting the referee, gave it to the Ray, hit Shai with it, thought it was it. No, Shai still got out of it. an absolute fit on the ringside, which I thought was really really funny, and then Shy hit a Spanish fly off the top, which is still, no matter how many times I see it, it's still a spectacular move. And obviously the
Yes.
moonsault for the successful defense. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh man, the Spanish fly, like you said, is beautiful, and also as we saw with, I think in Angel Guards is a situation a few weeks ago can be very dangerous. So I was just happy that everyone is okay whenever I see one too. But I agree, it definitely always looks just it's just great to see. And but anyway, the match I was definitely it was right around my expectations. I knew that I kind of remember like I remember NXT before it even became on television every week. So I remember before like when this initial thing started when EO finally changed and turned into the character we all know and love as our champion now. And so they were having good matches even then, and so when that first thing kind of broke down, so the fact that now they still have that. You can just see the chemistry in the ring, and then you add the fact that Gargano comes out there. I agree. I thought they were going to pull the Bailey thing again. I was just hoping it wouldn't be as sloppy as that one ended up looking. But I was happy with the finish. I'm happy that EO survived. Uh, I was I was kind of worried because everyone had retained. So I was saying, are they going to throw us for a loop and she be the one to lose her belt? Because I would have been definitely shocked at that result. But I definitely loved this match. It was really good. I would say about 4.5 stars.
I'm going to give that a 4.25 out of 5 because, like I said, it was a great story, and that wasn't it after because after the match, pre-recorded, Tony Storm announced her return to NXT. Tony Storm is one of these talents who I think could be main roster, and there's a lot of women. One of these pleasures of having this podcast, especially for the last 5 years, is watching the progression with women's wrestling, especially when it was kind of Divas title back when we first started, and trying to get the people that I was either watching wrestling with to try and get a little bit of respect. And NXT started with Banks and Bailey, and NXT is still the same with the women's division. I think it is the strongest out of every other division in NXT right now. I think the women's division is the top because you can bring in people like someone like Tony Storm, former NXT UK champion, who's fantastic talent, of course, winner of the Mae Young Classic. Unfortunately, my pick was Io Shy in the tournament, and Storm beat her. So there's a little bit of story into that. And then we get the video packaging promising a returning former champion. We thought it was going to be Bo Dallas. What can be better than Bo Dallas? Well, it's Ember Moon. I was over the moon because Ember Moon, I was lucky enough to be front row when it was Ember Moon versus Oscar in NXT when they come over here to England. And
Oh,
it
what a
was one of
match
these,
that was.
oh, it was during the time where they were just delivering. And even though you knew Oscar was going to win, you just sat there and enjoyed it. And I always thought to myself, they're missing a trick with Ember Moon. Hopefully, injury free, back to NXT. She, bit like Finn Balor, can have the success she needed. What are your thoughts on Tony Storm and Ember Moon showing up to an already stacked NXT Women's Division?
It's just like you said. I mean, it's just elation, and it's just like you said. That's probably the strongest women's division in wrestling, and it only just got stronger. It's insane how much talent that they have, in NXT. And Tony Storm, everything about her from the first moment I ever saw her, I just knew. I said, okay, WWE, you guys should know what you guys have to do with this. Like that's an easy, I think easy money. I think Tony Storm can be, and I think she's gonna I think she's gonna be do great wherever she is, and especially in NXT when you have great partners to get in the ring with and make magic with. But also you got to also take into account they just lost like Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez, who are great veteran wrestlers, also who are now I assume now full time on the main roster. So they lost them and come back with with two former champions, and great talent. And Ember Moon, come on now, I agree 100%. She is one of the she has so much untapped potential in my opinion on the main roster. I thought they missed like they really was missing it with her initial run. I'm so happy she get another chance at it. I will have to admit something though. She hurt me with her not only her Bo Dallas. Bo Lee's tweet that she kind of posted after she debuted, but the fact that I love Bo Dallas. Like even Motor Ted Talk Bo Dallas is my guy. I love Bo Dallas. I don't care. I'm very unbiased about Bo. I bought a Bo Lee shirt in 2015, and I love Bo Dallas. But so when I saw Ember Moon, was I disappointed? Not at all, because I know that she's gonna kill it. But I definitely it's just come on now, please somebody do something with Bo. Anything. He's Bray Wyatt's brother, for God's sake. How can he not be doing anything?
we want Bo. We want a Bo leave again. We should
Please.
um fully women's match. Like we said, we gave it 4.5, 4.25 out of 5. Prediction wise, we both went EO, so it was 4-3. Poll wise, Candice LeRae got 60%, so they were expecting,
Oh
I think, a
wow.
title change. Um, Obviously that didn't go down. We get a backstage promo with Adonis. Again, not bad, but I thought it was a bit weird him being interviewed at a takeover. But obviously we had what happened earlier, and they had to set up Escobar's next opponent, I guess. And then match 5, main event time for the NXT title: Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly. It was alright, wasn't it? It was alright.
Oh my God. I don't even think you gotta ask about the star ratings on this.
This is
Goodness.
just when they make it easy for you, when they put on a match like this and you go, I wonder what my match of the night's going to be. Oh, I wonder what my, and they just delivered in this one. Balor had won the NXT title, of course, from Adam Cole, because Karrion Kross had relinquished due to injury. It seems like a million years ago that Karrion Kross was NXT champion, with everything that's happened kind of since then. O'Reilly won a number one contendership match, but it was a great underdog story because Kyle O'Reilly, like Jey Uso, trying to break out with support from Undisputed Era, but a big fight feel. Um, this, I mean, like I said, the I won't do it justice trying to commentate on what actually happened here. But we obviously had O'Reilly grounding Balor in the early going, and I don't know about you, but this is why I love someone like Pete Dunne as well, because you can watch them wrestling on the mat, and it's for me it's as interesting as people jumping over the top rope, hitting each other with a chair, because that's the wrestling side to it, you know.
I agree 100%. Guys like you said, Kyle O'Reilly, Zack Sabre Jr. Oh my goodness, man, I can watch those guys grapple forever. Minoru Suzuki is also pretty good, like the same type of. It doesn't matter what they're doing, striking, grappling, but I agree. They make it. Like I know some people don't like it. Tim Thatcher in NXT also is another guy who can just grapple very well, and it's just I loved it. And Kyle O'Reilly put on a clinic.
They just, when Balor, it's a case of, oh, Balor can maybe do these certain styles of matches, or he can't do this, and he was just like, let's just do it. There was a great moment with a big knee to the midsection, um, and then there was a taking Balor inside out. Then we had the kicks from O'Reilly, Balor with the shot that took O'Reilly down, and you thought, oh, hang on a minute, referee might call this, and then I was thinking, this is a wrestling match. They're not gonna stop. They're not gonna stop it. But it was because of the way the selling and
Oh
everything
my
was going
god.
on. I
Yeah.
kept buying into it, and like I said, it was the way they were exchanging submissions, the way they were trying to the little breaks. That when he had the trying to get the arm breaker in, and you see Balor's fingers just stretching off, and oh, can he do it? Can
Ooh.
he not? A great story, the armbar with Balor getting, stomping his way out of it, hitting the 1916, couldn't get the job done. Went for the coup de grace. He got crotched on the top. He got hit with a corkscrew into the ropes. I mean, hit the knee, jumping knee for the top rope, a heel hook. This, looking for the submission. Balor, yeah, and at that point, I'm going, Balor, you might have to just fight another day. At this point, he's caught you. Luckily, for Balor, he didn't. He excluded a burst of energy, dropping O'Reilly and delivering a double stomp. He answered the Roland German with another double stomp. He delivered a coup de grace and scored the win in this extraordinarily hard fought match. I mean, his mouth was bleeding profusely. I think it's from the knee Kyle O'Reilly delivered before Balor went up. O'Reilly's mouth was bleeding as well. Balor stood tall as the champion of NXT. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Man, what an absolute war, man. They beat the hell out of each other. Like, that's my biggest takeaway, honestly. Like, if you just want to watch two guys go, test, like, in every app, like you said, every angle of wrestling. They test, like you said, striking. They test grappling. They did a little bit of high flying. They did reversing. They had a reversal heavy portions of the match. They had it all in this one title match, and like I said, they just put on a show. Like it just all you have to do is just sit back and relax and just watch them go at it. I honestly, I agree. I think I knew from the beginning that Finn was going to win, but Kyle O'Reilly wrestled that match. They wrestled it so well that it was definitely moments where you like, oh my goodness, Kyle O'Reilly may upset them. And anytime the wrestlers get that emotion out of you, I think they done a great. They did a great job, and that was 5 stars, like easily 5 stars, like easily the match of the night. If I would have paid money to be there, I would have definitely felt like I got my money's worth.
Well, without a doubt, it was like we talk about with the Roman Reigns story from Clash of Champions. It was a bit like that, but it was a lot harder. And Kyle O'Reilly was actually more competitive in the match as well. So at the end of it, you thought, well, Balor got it done tonight. But if they were to meet again, maybe O'Reilly.
Exactly.
And that's exactly the thought they wanted to put in there. As for Finn Balor, I have not been let me get this right. I've not been a huge fan of him. Don't get me wrong. I love Balor in NXT, and the Demon Catcher, obviously. But there was just something about him, and I think we've seen it with him coming back to NXT, and he's in an environment more comfortable, as we talked about earlier, with certain wrestlers, more confident. And I think this is the best Finn Balor we've seen, if not ever in WWE, for a very, very long time. He looked great. His style was just so on point. There is a man just oozing confidence at this moment in time.
Oh, definitely. I think he definitely feels like he's one, if not the best, he's one of. I mean, he's not one of the best. He definitely feels like he's probably the best wrestler in the world, or definitely in that conversation. Like that's the type of swagger and bravado he has. I think he's kind of channeling a little bit. And I hate to sound like the New Japan Homer here, but I remember this kind of. He feel ever since this whole rebrand, he started to call himself the Prince again. He started to feel like Prince David and be more confident and more aggressive in his style and less watered down, kind of like the main roster had made him. The main roster really watered down what he had built
Yeah.
in NXT in his initial run. So I think definitely I agree 100%. I think this NXT run has made Finn Balor so much better. And I saw a post on Twitter that kind of got me thinking. He may be at legend status as far as this era of wrestling, with his Bullet Club ties, the style of wrestling that he has kind of, I wouldn't say pioneered, but he's one of the best in the
Mm.
world at it for a long time now. Like he has done a lot and hasn't been around all that long just yet. He still has so much more, in my opinion, that he could do. So big ups to Finn Balor, and I really love him as NXT champion. And I would love to see Demon Balor return against Killer Cross or Karrion Cross
Oh yeah.
at some point down the line. I really would like that encounter just to do a little bit of armchair booking.
Yeah, without a shadow of doubt. And we talk about Balor being as dominant as he is. That was his 13th win at a takeover. And you can just, like I said, if go back to what works for you, and with Finn at this moment in time, it's working perfectly. As for, like we said, the matchup was, 5 out of 5. Yeah, you can't say it wasn't. It was just that's how kind of good this match was. Unbelievable stuff. Prediction wise, both went Balor, so final scores was 5-4 to the WNR, and a perfect score as well. Polls Balor 74% went for Finn Balor. Again, not that much of a surprise, but as Balor showed O'Reilly a sign of respect, which again I love seeing that in wrestling, especially after you've had a war a little bit. Ridge Holland appeared with a battered Adam Cole and deposited him at ringside. Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish rushed the ring, wondering what the hell had happened as the show faded to black. Uh, Maybe not the strongest way to end a takeover, but then leading interest to see what actually happened. There was a lot of talk about the Undisputed Era kind of splitting up or, costing O'Reilly in this match. I think what we saw with the end of the match was perfect. What were your thoughts on Ridge Holland showing up and
Yeah,
Adam Cole?
I was kind of confused because I thought he was doing the kind of I mean, the last time we saw Holland, he was I think taking care of Cameron Grimes, and we all know Cameron Grimes is not a baby face.
Mm.
As entertaining as he is, but I was a little shocked at first, but kind of if you connect the dots, especially with Bobby Fish and Roger Strong being so late, like where were they that they left Adam Cole alone in this situation? Is kind of the question I have, but I don't know if that's where they're going. This could be a straight up, Ridge Holland Adam Cole beef thing. I don't know, or like you said, it could be going into this future split that we may be hearing about or seeing soon, but. I don't know. It's definitely I think the goal of that was to just draw you in and get you to check out Wednesday so you can get clarification. And I
Yeah.
think that's pretty, they may have accomplished their goal, especially with that night of wrestling. Why wouldn't you want to check out NXT after that entertaining takeover? In my opinion.
I think without a shadow of a doubt. And what we're going to do now is we're going to give, well, basically, there's three things to do at the end of each pay per view. It's the match of the night, which is the main event, which is probably one of the easiest choices that I've had to make so far.
Yeah.
We also give a person, a man or a woman, who had a great night. For me personally, I'm going to give it to Kushida. His first singles match at Takeover, he looked like a star and he destroyed the dream. If there's nothing else that he needed to do, and I think that's why he's my man of the night.
And I think maybe, and I'm going to give my credit to Kyle O'Reilly because I believe that if you have not been paying attention to how good Kyle O'Reilly is, after that performance, you definitely will be in the future.
Yeah, without a doubt, this was a stand-up performance for Kyle O'Reilly. Rating out of 10. Now, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. This was a phenomenal show, but we didn't miss anything apart from the great matches, if you know what I mean. So if you were to miss the event, there would be nothing tuning in from an NXT to another NXT that would pass us by. Yes, maybe Ridge Holland showing up and the return of Tony Storm and Ember Moon, but even that would be covered. There's nothing. There's no total. There's nothing really in the annals of takeover events. Nothing really happened in this event that was going to kind of change the course of history. But for saying what it was for a takeover that we weren't sure if we wanted, that we needed, at 9 out of 10, every match was spot on as well.
You know what? I think a nine probably is the perfect score to give it because taking into account everything you just said, I think that makes the most sense. Especially when you think, like you said, when you take into account that the fact that this is not a well built takeover and how well they paced and how well they booked this show, in my opinion, and the way the match went. And I didn't think about that, but that's a great point. Like, other than maybe requesting that everyone check out that main event, what would you tell someone who didn't see it that you would be like, but you need to go check this part of the show? I think it was the only thing you would probably say is, please go check out that Kyle O'Reilly Finn Balor match.
Yeah.
The rest of it, yeah, it was great and entertaining, but it wasn't like anything memorable or to write home about either in the other matches. They were just well done in my opinion.
But this is why I love a takeover because, and I've always loved doing takeovers because it's like 2.5 hours. Yes, a WPP might be only 3 hours, but that extra half hour seems so much longer because I always break it down to kind of two matches break, main event, that's your takeover done. And it's so easily kind of, um, you know, digestible that you kind of, before you know it, it's the end of Takeover or you middle of main event, whether it's a WWE pay per view or even AEW. To this point, you're looking at it and going, "We've still got another 2 hours left because they've not hit this match yet. They've not hit that." So for everything with Takeover, my only problem is I don't want them to do the monthly event like Halloween Havoc, do a special episode, but you don't need to churn out takeovers every couple of months. Give it 3 months and build a little bit more story to it.
I agree. I agree with that. I also think that a lot of they benefit, like a lot of takeovers age well and look very, very great because of that. Like you said, that 5 match or 4 match format that they go into. Because let's just be honest, less matches, you have less opportunities for one of those to be a dud. And I remember a few years back, some of those pay per views that went over 3.5 hours, and you just like how I sat at a WrestleMania, and those things are like 12-hour experiences, and it's tough. It was tough on some of those longer shows. So I agree. The takeovers are always a breath of fresh air because they quick hitters. They just give you a nice high for a great 2 hours, and then they're out of there, and it's just perfect.
I think without a shadow of a doubt, we got some aftermath, and speaking to the media afterwards, Triple H confirmed that Balor needed immediate medical attention. Of course, Kyle O'Reilly was also bleeding with a match, and he said he suffered several broken teeth. I love that statement from WWE. Yeah, he suffered several broken teeth. A statement read, the main event was brutal hard hitting. Finn Balor had to be taken to the local medical facility for CAT scans to determine if he suffered potential facial fractures in his successful defense. Both of these men will be bruised for weeks, but I think absolutely brilliant. What are your final thoughts on NXT Takeover 31?
I think it was overall a very, very entertaining night. A great show, it was well paced. I can't think of too much. I don't think I've had anything super negative to say about it, other than my opinion on Velveteen Dream. But that's a small minus that apparently we're just gonna have to deal with. It's one of those. He's like that family member you ignore, I guess. But uh, but I agree. I think this match, I think this show was very, very good, and I don't think they need to keep, like I said, they do not keep doing these takeovers. Keep them being special. But this one definitely, I think I don't know how it ranks like all time as far as takeovers, but it's definitely worth it to watch if you see what I mean.
Yeah, like I said, from the first match to the last match, you're going to be entertained, and for any show to do that is going to be pretty impressive. We did do a poll asking what did everybody think of Takeover. 13% for okay, 25% for good, 29% for awesome, and great 33%. And I think for, like you said, a takeover we weren't expecting, or we weren't kind of ready for, or felt a bit rushed. I think it delivered fantastically. So that is nearly it. Don't forget, the week is at Mats Heinrich and Matthias, listening from Germany. And that's basically it. You can follow us across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. What's your Twitter?
At Mind Monty Pod is MINDMONTYPOD on Twitter.
Check them out. There's some great stuff there. Of course, the WNR is also on Facebook and Instagram, the WNR Podcast at gmail.com. Send emails on YouTube. They got podcasts got the same time on YouTube. They do SoundCloud on your phone, also Stitcher and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode will be doing some N64 gaming. But until then, I have been James Rowlands, and today I was joined by the fantastic mind of Monty. Thank you for joining me very much. I hope you enjoyed yourself, mate.
I did. Thank you for having me. You guys have a blessed one.
And hopefully, I'll maybe catch you at the next takeover. Maybe we have a little chat about that and see what's going on there.
You never know. You never know.
That is it then. Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.